Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Jeremy Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby.
Hey, you.
And this is the podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, all about the battles of Team WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. Each and every single week, we go back in time. We are re-reviewing the episodes in order. And at the end of the day, we are trying to figure out who really should have won the Monday Night Wars. Adam, why should people listen to what we have to say?
Well, let me tell you something, Jer Bear. It's because we are already more than a year into this thing, and you're not going to find guys who are going through the Monday Night Wars with this much time on their hands anywhere else. I think also you get the chance to hear it from guys who have a life outside of wrestling sometimes, too. I mean, come on, we all love it, but all those other voices out there are just wrestling all the time. Like, come on, we've got some more world perspective than those guys, I think. And those are multiple reasons to stay here on Monday Night Pod.
Yeah, that's not bad. Also, we both used to work in WWE. We both used to work in a WWE tape library. Our jobs are to watch all of wrestling. So we have watched more wrestling than you, somehow. I didn't really watch that much wrestling this week.
Oh, yeah, me neither. I watched Dynamite.
I watched the pay-per-view, Extreme Rules.
Oh, yeah.
The horror show at Extreme Rules.
Oh, yeah. I watched a little of that. Mostly I was interested in the swamp fight.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that.
It was terrible. It's
one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life on wrestling.
And I watched the bar fight too on Monday. And
that Friday, or that was
Friday.
This past Friday, whatever day it is.
That was awful also.
I didn't watch SmackDown. I don't know.
I feel like they've totally lost what the cinematic style matches are supposed to be, because now they just play out like really bad sci-fi movies, right? Like, and I don't mean like sci-fi the genre. I mean like sci-fi the genre.
Yeah. I think what happened is that when they started, it was like that weird little thing that like Hunter was able to produce. And then once like everyone started like kind of loved it at WrestleMania, Vince was like, oh, and now Vince actually has input, and now they're ruined. Where it really, I mean, to talk about the first two at WrestleMania, like the rumors were that it was, I believe, like Hunter and Michael Hayes. Yeah. Pretty much the two of them that wrote the whole thing. I'm sure other people were involved, but those are the two main people. I'm assuming that's not the case anymore, considering that it's the main events of these pay-per-views, that there's a lot more hands involved. And as we've seen for the past 20 years at WWE, the more hands that get involved in things, including the person with the biggest hands, the worse it is. So,
well, I think it's not necessarily from a creative content that it's standpoint that it's worse. I think it's worse from the biggest thing that I've noticed is the editing on them, right? So like WWE gets a lot of shit because of how quickly they do jump cuts all the time anyway in their live matches. You know, where someone will I was gonna say one superplex will end up getting 14 cuts. Right? It'll be like, how is that possible? And they've taken that and they've brought it over to the bar fight. They brought it over to the swamp fight, and it's like it doesn't work. It's bad. It's just bad.
That doesn't bother me as much as it's just boring. I loved Money in the Bank. I thought the two WrestleMania stuff was great. Yep. I really loved Money in the Bank. I think all three of those things also touched on this thing where they were funny, whether they were meant to be funny in some parts, and some parts they certainly were, in some parts they certainly weren't. They all had a really like wonderful humor to them. I think that's also what the Stadium Stampede match excelled at too, where it had lots of action. At the end of the day, it was a brutal match, but they were able to really tell a great story with a lot of humor. I think all three of those matches did that. And story maybe a little less than Money in the Bank, but at least it had humor and I enjoyed it, and it was so batshit crazy that I loved it. Where what was there to enjoy in the Braun Strowman Bray thing? There's nothing. There was nothing I got out of that where I liked, not 1 second that I got out of it that I enjoyed it. It was just more of like a why, and not in like an interesting way. It was just maybe it was not a good move to end the pay-per-view with that. Maybe that would have made me feel better. I don't know what you end the pay-per-view with, because they had terrible finishes to every match pretty much. But
yeah, they've already turned Drew into Roman again.
I wouldn't say that. I actually enjoyed that match. I think I think it'd be interesting to see. I think you can't judge his reign until there's a crowd. There just
I
isn't.
can't.
Is he as enjoyable as he was at the beginning? No, but the enjoyment I got out of him at the beginning was how over he was with everybody.
That's part of it, but like what I never like in my baby face is I don't like them to be. He is entering the territory of like 2006, 2007 John Cena, where he's just like immortal, right? So when like Dolph is able to be like, it's Extreme Rules for me, but you can get disqualified, and if you get disqualified, you lose the title. And when it's that much, the you know the cards are stacked in your favor and he still goes through it. It's just it's that immortal thing that I don't like.
But that's why I mean, yes, they certainly booked him like that, but they were very cautious in who they booked him against. They also booked him against a loser. Like Dolph, they didn't even try to make Dolph a real contender. They're picking people that he should destroy with his hands tied behind his back.
I hate that because I love Dolph. I've always loved Dolph, and I've always wanted him to have his moment to shine. But
he did have his moment 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was very, very short-lived. Yeah, well, that's some current stuff for us. But current stuff, that's not what we specialize here because we have a time machine.
Yes, Adam, let's go back. Let's go back to November 11th, 1995. This is episode 184 of Raw.
96. 1990? 95.
Oh, you know what's funny? I'm looking at my computer screen. It's too far away from me. It looks like 1995 while I'm here, and it looks like 1996 when I'm here. So I'm blind. But yes,
look me up with my LASIK guy.
Go on. It's 1996. Anyway, this is the last taping of Raw at the War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because the pay-per-view is this weekend. This is the go-home show for Survivor Series live at MSG, which we will talk more about in this episode. Vince and King are in commentary tonight. We open up with the WWF Tag Team Championship match. We saw this one being built the past few weeks. It is the champions Owen and Davey Boy with Clarence Mason versus WWF champion Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario and his opponent for this Sunday, Psycho Sid. This match goes 11 minutes and 15 seconds. Then we run through what happens, and then we'll chit-chat about it. Let's see here. So they go over the entire backstory of everything that's been happening leading up to this match. Way too long. I don't care, but here we go. Before the match even starts, we cut to Stone Cold in the back because Stone Cold has now taken over Raw. He is back there, and he says that he won't apologize for what he did last week to Brian Pillman. He says that he's going to go find Bret Hart after taking care of Bob Holly tonight. Great. Into the match. The fans do not give a shit. Why would they, though? This is like the 5th time seeing these guys out there in this like 8-hour block of taping. So I don't blame them. Basically, most of the match is Davey Boy and Owen just destroying Shawn. Just like lots of tags, cutting off the ring, cheating, usual tag team stuff. Finally, hot tag to Sig. He hits a very shitty choke slam on Davey Boy. Like it looks like he didn't even try lift, and Davey Boy just like jumps and falls with Sid's hand there. Chaos ensues. Shawn comes in to try and hit Davey with Sweet Chin Music, but of course Davey ducks out of the way and he nails Sid in the face with it. Davey falls on top of him and pins him for the win.
Just one Sweet Chin Music to go out like that. For a big monster like Sid. That's
right on the chin though.
Well, this match, the big story that King was selling the entire time was that Sid was trying to get, Shawn soft for their match on Sunday, which is a concept that we're familiar with in wrestling. We've heard this many times, but I actually kind of liked how that was playing out because there were a bunch of times where big dumb Sid would like reach over and try and get in, and the referee goes to stop him from getting in, and then Bulldog and Owen are able to do their double team thing. And yeah. It has the spots that you're familiar with. But I didn't hate it overall. But yeah, you're definitely right.
It felt like a good house show main event.
Yeah, I could see that. A good house show main event. But I do like that they're continuing along with the story of the accidental Shawn Michaels hitting, just like we had.
It's been like, is it a mistake? Is it a mistake? Is it a mistake? But every week it's a mistake. Ooh.
Yep. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, kind of thing for Sid going on.
Fool me once. It's fool me once, Shame on you. Fool me twice. Don't
Yeah.
get shamed. Don't get fooled again.
Okay.
That's the George Bush line. That's the George Bush quote. And then it was in a J. Cole song. It's fantastic. Or J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar. Oh fuck me. I can forget which one it is. Whatever. Maybe Kendrick Lamar.
Not
Fool me
my
once.
target.
Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Don't get fooled again. There it is. Anyway, next up, Kevin Kelly is backstage. He says that. Kevin Kelly's backstage, and he says that Sid and HBK are pissed. We will learn more about that later. But first up, it's a Survivor Series sport with Doc Hendricks.
Ooh.
Runs through the card. Fantastic. Lots of classic Survivor Series matches coming up this Sunday.
A lot of energy. There's a couple of mystery partners who are going to be involved with some stuff.
Yeah, I forgot to look up to see who those people were.
Yeah, we have the debut of the legendary Funk Flash, I believe, who's going to be on there also.
Yeah.
It's pretty stacked as far as this card goes. I mean, we've been building up to it for a while, but there were some years where they didn't have like a bunch of Survivor Series matches.
They didn't have any. I want to say in 99, maybe that was the tournament year. They didn't have. Oh no, 98 was a tournament year. But maybe in 2000, for one of those years, they literally had no Survivor Series matches because Vince just hated the concept. He tried to get rid of it numerous times.
Yeah, that sucks because it's a good concept, and I mean, we've seen in previous years, we've seen some really actually great Survivor Series matches. I think also, I mean, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, and I apologize to the fans because we're supposed to be, the most knowledgeable wrestling people ever on here. But as I mentioned, we're just like you. We got real lives also. But I think a couple years ago, wasn't there also no Survivor Series actual match because it was the culmination of the tournament for the WWE title that was vacated?
They had another tournament that year, but I want to say there was at least one match. I think there's only been 1 year there was actually no matches.
Okay.
And I want to say that year was 2000.
Okay. All right.
Tell us if we're wrong. I mean, I could do the research too, I guess. But if you guys know if we're wrong, just tweet at us, and then we'll give you a little shout out next week. How about that?
I'm all about that.
Yeah, I got the card here. I'll pull a Doc Hendricks impression. Oh, no, I won't. But I'll run down the card just so you guys were. So this is the card that happened according to Wikipedia. So who the fuck knows if this is right or not? It says that Smoking Guns defeated Public Enemy.
All right.
Here's the first Survivor Series match. It was 1 2 3 Kid. It was the Body Donnas plus 1 2 3 Kid plus. Oh my god, I'm looking at the wrong fucking card.
Yeah, hold on.
I was like, huh?
Are you in 95 again?
Sense. Yeah, I'm in 95. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm in 95.
Again, because you can't see.
No, I'm looking at my. Oh my god, I typed 95 in again. What is wrong with me? Now I'm looking on my 32-inch gigantic monitor. Maybe that's why. You know what? That's what happened. Now that I have a gigantic monitor for the first time in my life, when I look back at my normal screen, I can't see anything. I've already gone blind after 2 weeks of this. All right, here we go.
I think I see who that mystery person was already.
I forgot what match that was in. So this has Aldo Montoya, Bart Gunn, Bob Holly, Jesse James defeated Billy Gunn, Justin Bradshaw, Sal Sincere, and the Sultan.
There you go. The Sultan's push is already dead.
Then it is Doug Furness, Henry Godwin, Phil LaFon, and Phineas Godwin defeated Bulldog, Leaf Cassidy, Marty Jannetty, Owen Hart.
That's quite the upset there, you got to say.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. None of this stuff makes sense. Taker defeats Mankind. Jake Roberts, Mark Miro, Rocky Maivia, the Stalker beat Crush, Goldust, Jerry Lawler, Hunter S. Helmsley.
Now, that's the one that had the surprise entrant in it. I believe the surprise entrant in that match is Jake Roberts because, going in with King and everything like that, it makes sense. All
right. I won't spoil anything else. Bret Hart took on Steve Austin. We know that. Diesel, Farouk, Razor, and Vader versus Flash Funk, Jimmy Snuka. Oh, Jimmy Snuka, Savio Vega, and Yokozuna. Jimmy Snuka. That must have been a surprise, right?
No, I feel like...
Yeah, they didn't promote Jimmy Snuka on this show. That was the surprise, because it was Flash Funk, Savio Vega, Yokozuna, and a mystery opponent. And that was Snuka coming out to the Garden.
Okay, all right. So they had two mysteries.
Yeah, that makes sense. I forget. That match, which is a 4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match, went 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah,
and then of course Sid and Shawn Michaels in the main event.
Well, all these are pretty short. It looks like.
Well, no, 25 minutes, 25 minutes.
That one, but the first one is 10 minutes, 46 seconds.
Well, maybe the first one you were eliminated when your partner was eliminated because it was tag teams.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, how exciting. Anyway, let's not reveal what happened at the main event of Survivor Series 96, just for those who are keeping it in real time with us. So anyway, that was Doc Hendricks, a.k.a. Jeremy Jacobowitz, going through
Survivor Series report. Next up, Kevin Kelly is backstage again. He says that Sid has a lot to say, but needs to chillax a little bit before he says it. So we'll find out more about that later. Next up, it's Mankind with Paul Bearer and the Executioner versus Freddie Joe Floyd. This match goes 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I noticed Mick hits like this. He hits a pile driver, but like yanks back on the tights too, and just is a brutal, like safe but brutal looking pile driver. Then Mandible Claw ends it. Then after the match, Taker's music hits. The shark cage comes down because remember Paul Bearer be dangling above the ring Sunday. Again, the dummy Paul Bearer is in it, hanging down. And Taker's voice from beyond the grave cuts a promo. Mankind then tries to beat up the cage, which doesn't go that well.
Yeah, I love like Mankind squealing throughout the whole thing like a pig. You know, he's doing it during the Mandible Claw when he's trying to rip down the cage and stuff like that. Do you think that Undertaker audio was laid into the arena because nobody was really reacting to it?
I think it was. I just think they're an hour 6 and nobody cares anymore.
Gotcha.
Especially since this exact same thing had to play out earlier in the night because we saw the clip of it last week on Raw of the shark cage being lowered down and kind of Paul Bearer freaking out. So this is their second time seeing the same exact thing play out an hour later.
Yeah, so why would you care? There's also there's a funny Vince line at the end of this as we transition into our next segment, which if I may spoil it for it, even though you usually carry us, we are going into talk about the Hall of Fame in 1996 and who's being inducted into it. But the funny Vince line is while Mankind is attempting to tear the cage to shreds, Vince says of Mankind, he's not destined for the Hall of Fame, that's for sure.
Take that, JR.
He's not destined for the Hall of Fame, that's for sure.
Not put butts in a seat.
Yeah, I'm talking about Mankind here. Mick Foley.
I was actually thinking today, watching Mankind wrestle, like his match was stupid, but it's always fun watching Mick wrestle. I was like, is Mick like the best wrestler of all time? I'm wearing a shirt today just out of pure coincidence, but I was like, he kind of is like just the best wrestler of all time from like promo to work, especially in like 96 when like he was in shape, like he could go, he could move, like he wasn't hurt yet. Like I was like, he might be the best. Like he always sold so well. His offense is so believable. His matches are laid out so great. He was always an amazing promo. Like what? Like that is what makes you the best wrestler of all time.
Yeah. You know what else? He is in the it's actually impossible to argue otherwise. He is in the most stacked Hall of Fame class of all time.
Nick is?
Yes. The Hall of Fame 2013. Can I read you who's in the Hall of Fame in 2013?
You can, and I will have a rebuttal for that. But yes, read to me who's in that.
All right. Well, audience can decide for us because I argue the Hall of Fame 2013 is the strongest class of all time, regardless of how you feel about one or multiple of the people in it. And I think you'll know when I get through it. We have Hall of Fame 2013, Mick Foley, Bob Backlund, Trish Stratus, Bruno Sammartino, Booker T, and Donald Trump.
I counter that, Adam. That is an amazing one. I counter that with this. Hall of Fame 2005. You ready?
I'm listening. I'm not looking it up. I'm listening to you. You pitch it to me.
Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Hot Rod. Iron Sheik. Jimmy Hart. Mr. Wonderful. Bob Orton Jr. and Nikolai Volkov.
That's
that ain't bad.
That's very, very strong. I
Mhm.
will counter your argument there. Now, well, an incredible class, a very strong class. It kind of only represents one era in wrestling.
It represents one show specifically.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
It's WrestleMania 1.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And, you know, it's representing, you know, what wrestling was in the late 80s, right?
Mhm.
Whereas, like, in the Hall of Fame 2013, I mean, Bruno Sammartino represents one generation, Bob Backlund another. Mick Foley and Booker T are kind of in the same world. Trish Stratus, you know, opening up so many barriers and kicking down doors and everything that she represents just for women and like mainstream American wrestling.
Mhm.
And then President of the United States. It's very difficult to, I mean, beat that one, I think.
True. I was thinking about that today, the Hall of Fame stuff too. It's just like, why do they have to induct so many people? This is why the Hall of Fame classes can never be the greatest ever again, because they decided to induct 1,000 people every year instead of just like, what's it, like, have 4 people, who cares? And then you could have classes forever. Now they have to induct guys 20 times to make the classes good because they have to have 17 people going every year.
Yeah, right. But well, anyway, listeners, podheads, let us know what you think about which was the stronger Hall of Fame class.
Tweet at us, Monday Night Pod. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can just comment below. That's after you've liked and subscribed to this video. You can also let us know on Apple Podcasts if you leave a 5-star review. But yeah, speaking of Hall of Fame, this year Vince announces, or whoever the VO announces, Killer Kowalski and Valiant Brothers are going in. Killer Kowalski, probably at this point better known for training.
Your favorite all time. That would be Hunter Hearst Helmsley, yes.
There you go. But next up, we get a pretty important video package. Adam, finally, I ranted about this last week, and WWF delivered. Good on them. We get the video package for the debuting Rocky Maivia.
Woo!
Debuting at Survivor Series this weekend on MSG. It's a beautiful slingshot suplex in this. So basically, it's like a montage of him training and a couple different interviews. Him training, Kevin Kelly's interviewing him. He's talking about his grandfather and his father both wrestling in MSG and how he like can't imagine that he's going to walk out there and hear his name in that same arena. We see him making a speech for the Cauliflower Alley Club honoring his dad. Watching this, are you like...
Vince calls him the first third generation star ever, which is very fun.
Yeah. I mean, watching this, do you think you're going to see the most famous actor of all time? Maybe not. No. But you see something. You see something here.
I was going to say, you could see how incredibly athletic The Rock is throughout this. Like, the kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, the drop down and the jump. I was like, fuck, he's a big man. And he is agile.
Yeah, he's putting up plates, he's doing everything, and he's he's running the ropes with I think that was Zip, who he was running.
Dr. Tom Pritchard trains him, so that makes sense.
Okay, and yeah, it's cool to see Rocky start to slip into all this. Like you said, you watch this, you don't think, oh yeah, that's going to be the biggest star on earth, but you know there's something there.
It's there. Seeing him in the ring, you could think that. Him talking, you're like, he's not the most electrifying man in sports entertainment at this time. He needs to find his voice. He's a little like almost quiet in these interviews, which is interesting. Probably the last time we'll ever see him just be quiet.
Very vanilla and humble about it.
Yes.
So
next up, back to Kevin Kelly. We see Sid is fuming in the background as we tease another interview coming up. I don't know why they can't just cut to him when Sid's ready, but whatever. Finally, we come back and Kevin Kelly's going to interview Sid. Sid is doing his like yelling, then quiet voice. Shawn Michaels, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
He says that he's screaming that there's no way Shawn made a mistake. Says that he will see what he'll do to him in Survivor Series now.
Yeah, I love the intensity in it. As we've talked about, Sid is like the best freaking build that you've ever seen for a wrestler. And he's I mean, even though his promos are fucking nuts, you know, they're warrior-esque in a way, you know, kind of a natural progression of Warrior. If, you know, Warrior could have translated into the 90s, that's what it would be.
Right.
I'm on board with this. I'm on board with Sid.
I'm ready. Next up, we get a little Stone Cold backstage. He says that Bob Holly match won't take too long, so then Bret Hart, you better watch out. How to find your dressing room, and we ain't gotta wait for Sunday.
You're gonna shoot. You're just gonna destroy your larynx by the end of Monday.
It hurts already.
You're gonna have to do. I'm not even trying to right now because I will cough like crazy if I really go after that.
I need a little Stone Cold IPA to clear my throat.
I am calling out to the Monday Night Podheads out there. If any of you have a hookup on El Segundo Broken Skull IPA, I've been looking for it for a very long time, and I cannot find it for the life of me. I have some friends on Untapped who have bragged showing it off, and they're in like South New Jersey, so I'm not going to go there to get it. I mean, come on.
Oh, I should have looked when I was in Jersey.
Yeah, but I haven't been able to find it at any beer stores lately. So if anyone knows, if anyone's got a hookup on how to get some El Segundo Broken Skull IPA shipped, I would love that. Just saying.
Next up, it's Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament. Sable versus Doc. Sable wins. Who cares? Next, Kevin Kelly's backstage with Shawn Michaels, who's in a towel. Sure. He says that him and Sid have always had conflicting personalities. Shawn starts yelling and says that it was a mistake tonight, but he still knocked him out. So what's going to happen Sunday when he's actually gunning for him?
Yeah.
It's an excellent point.
Good promo, cold. And also sort of like the first time that Shawn has just gone claws out at Sid.
Yes, we see him, a change of attitude in Shawn, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, it's Stone Cold versus Bob Holly. This match goes 7 minutes and 30 seconds. The only fun part about this is that we hear glass shatters for the first time or in the arena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I wrote.
JR joins commentary. Bob Holly no longer Sparkplug Bob Holly, but still has the old gear. So
I was gonna say, I noticed that they never once said Sparkplug Bob Holly. He still has the same terrible look, but at least they moved away from that terrible gimmick.
Yes. Basically, throughout the match, we see Bret watching backstage on a little tiny monitor. They keep cutting to him. Eventually, Austin hits a stunner out of nowhere. No kick wham. Just a stunner out of nowhere for now, and wins.
Yeah, no middle fingers.
Nothing. Just almost like, I mean, very, very Diamond Cutter-esque out of nowhere. And it's essentially, it's very close to the same move anyway.
Yeah, it's true, though. The stunner was never really like an out of nowhere kind of thing. Yeah, like you said, that match was pretty boring.
That happens.
It kind of sucked. I wonder, like, if the audience was there for 6 hours and that's the last show, that's the last match they got to go home at. Oof.
My guess is they would have. I wonder why. You know what? I guess I'm going to say that they did this. They ended it with the Shawn tag team match, and they just aired it first because they thought that would be better opening the show with, and then they figured let's end the show on Austin stuff for the TV audience because Austin, like, for the time this taped to the time it aired, Austin exploded. So maybe for the house, you give them that tag team championship match, but for the TV audience, you give them Austin.
Yeah, I could see that because it's not like the house is seeing those backstage things anyway, where they
all that stuff was filmed afterwards, like especially the Austin stuff. You could tell like they just like squirted water on him, and they're like, "Here, you just in a match."
Curious, yeah.
Yes, it's not the end of the show. Austin promised to go up to Bret Hart, so we see him go backstage, finds Bret's locker room. He's about to go inside, and then he says that, "Yeah, you'd like me to do that, but you got to pay to see that," which is a great plug for Survivor Series. See me beat up Bret Hart this Sunday. A classic heel move.
Ooh, yeah. He's Kevin Nashing already.
But that's Raw.
That is Raw. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like there's no matches to go back and watch. There's not even really anything necessarily to go back and watch. But I do think that they did a very good job of selling and building to the matches at Survivor Series. If you're into any of the matches that are going to happen, the storylines progressed in a natural and nice way, where Sid and Shawn, finally that tipping point of the explosion between the two. Austin, Bret, they teased all night. You got the package for Rocky Maivia. You got King selling for his team. What else is on that card? I mean, and we had the Taker, Mankind stuff. So, I mean, all the hot feuds were touched upon and built and climaxed right before the pay-per-view, which is what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like you said, like there's nothing, I didn't go back on this show and be like, oh, I love this thing, like nothing made my jaw drop or whatever. It's just like, oh, that's kind of nifty to see the first Rocky Maivia package. Like, oh, that's a decent, like, Mankind mauling, I guess, like that. Oh, that's kind of fun to see the Glass Shatters theme for the first time. But yeah, overall, this is kind of like a skippable Raw, I think.
Yeah, I agree. In the scheme of things, in the very macro.
Well, that being said, I guess the only thing that Nitro could really do right now is snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, because I think they're set up to win tonight. Let's see what happens, though.
Let's see, Adam. Let's go live. Nitro is live from the Bayfront Center in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is episode 61. Tony and Larry open the show. They talk about the Sting situation. Where is he? Also, Eric is still trying to sign Hot Rod, so we'll see what happens tonight. But first up, we get a replay of what happened last week in the interview when they interviewed Jeff Jarrett, the Four Horsemen. And not just like a clip. They decide to replay the entire thing of him sort of getting into it. A favorite trope of WCW already, of just replaying an entire thing from the week before.
Yeah.
So I just tuned out until the match started, which was Chris Benoit with the woman versus Jeff Jarrett. This match goes 6 minutes and 30 seconds. For the second week in a row, we cut backstage as the match starts to Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan. Jimmy says that one phone call from woman would have stopped this. But Sullivan says that he had the same burning desire, but he will drag Benoit around in Baltimore. All sort of like hinting at the not so subtleness of the fact that woman has now divorced Kevin Sullivan and is with Benoit, all in real life. So great.
Yeah. Plaza, yeah, that's booking his own divorce or whatever, as they said.
Yes, he worked himself into a shoot.
That's right. That's right.
But anyway, Jeff Jarrett looks to be taking control before Sting comes in and hits a scorpion death drop, causing a DQ. Sting bounces, and then woman, we hear sort of like on the camera mic, convincing Benoit to help Jarrett up because we know Jeff Jarrett is WCW, but we don't know what Sting is.
Yeah, that's a very important point. No one knows what Sting's motivations are. He's wearing the NWO colors. So what could be going on with Sting? There's also, like, for the 6 minutes that's going on, this is a pretty good match. And there's one spot we've all seen a million times where one guy is on the one guy's on the apron, one guy's inside the ring, and they do the spot to like, oh, he's gonna suplex him out of the ring, but then it never ever happens. They always reverse it and pull him back into this one. Oh no. Jeff Jarrett suplexes Chris Benoit over the rope and drops him off of the apron in a terrifying spot.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Like one of those things that you see and you're like, oh yeah, that's a Chris Benoit thing to do that spot. That's like,
yes,
it's kind of crazy ass shit that only he or Eddie or Ray would do in this time. Maybe Jericho, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It was a sickening bump. Anyway, we come back and we see some lunatic is at ringside begging Tony Larry to show this. He has like a manila envelope. He's like, you got to show us. You got to show this. The security's trying to get him away. He drops off the envelope right as security drags him away. There's a note inside and says, WCW, please play this. It was a hit in Europe in 1992. And hinting that has something to do with Hot Rod and Hogan.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We will see what this is.
Yeah.
Next up, we see footage of Ric Flair getting surgery with Dr. James Andrews. He has rotator cuff surgery, which is rough. That's not a good one.
Yeah. So
of course, Dr. Jim Andrews, the same guy that worked on Hunter's quads. So.
Well, it's interesting because I hadn't really realized that Dr. Jim Andrews sounds like a foghorn leghorn if he's going to talk about when it's going to be able to get Ric Flair back into wrestling. Yes, wrestling quite a few times. I'll say Dr. Andrews has quite the accent down there.
They should sign him.
Thick. Yeah, that's right.
Garrett of Colonel Robert Parker. Next up, it is the continuation of the women's title tournament. This time it is Maya Hosaka versus
We've seen Hosaka before.
Versus Zero with Sonny Ono. This match goes 1 minute and 45 seconds. Zero is wearing the Gaia Heavyweight Women's Championship belt.
Actually a pretty sweet belt.
Yeah, look cool. And Larry spends the whole time wondering if Zero is a man or a woman, so that's cool. It's just a squash, and Zero hits like a razor's edge or her variation of a razor's edge to end it.
It's a razor's edge.
It's a razor's edge.
Yeah,
I forget what they called it, but it's like
bomb, right?
What's that?
I think you call it a crucifix bomb.
Crucifix bomb. Yeah, that would make sense.
I think is what you call it. Yeah, the crowd is dead as dead could possibly be for this match. WCW really should have like spent more than 2 seconds thinking about building a women's division. Right. But I mean, it's not like Raw's doing much better building a women's division right now.
Their women's division went to WCW. Their entire thing.
That's right. It's true. Did you see? Did you see Medusa had some words for Bischoff on Twitter this week?
I saw the headline. I did not read it. What was her issue this week?
Oh, basically that, they were making millions while she was paid a fraction of what the fellas were paid. The ladies were not getting a fair shake on those shows, obviously.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's do this math here. I'm not going to say that the women were not treated correctly in 1996 WCW wrestling. But you don't get paid just for being in the arena. You get paid based off of what you add to the show.
Right.
You could get on Eric for not creating storylines for Medusa, but she's not going to get paid like someone that's actually on the show.
Right. Yeah.
You're getting paid for your position on the card, and unfortunately for women at the time, including Medusa, their position was the bottom. That sucks, and I agree with that. But but you shouldn't get paid equally for that than if you're not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no more so than Freddie Joe Floyd needs to get paid the same as Shawn Michaels when,
right, and you get paid for what you bring in, and you saw the way the audience reacted to women. They didn't give a shit. Unfortunately, it just was a sign of the times, and I think there's a bigger conversation, and we pretty much had this conversation in wrestling. We know that they had the talent and ability because we see it now. Unfortunately, it took another 20 years to get there,
Yeah. But thankfully, we're here now. All thanks to, and I will never be convinced otherwise about this. It all started with Paige and Emma for the NXT Women's Championship. That is where this whole thing really started. Of course, the aforementioned Trish Stratus was laying the groundwork for them to be able to do their things. Mm-hmm. But even in the height of the Trish Stratus and Lita times, there was still, you still had Tori Wilson going out and doing a bra and panties match, which
yeah, I watched the match.
I was never mad about, but
I watched the match this week between Caitlyn and Eve Torres, and I'm
oof.
And both of them were two of the better workers at the time, and it still was just it would be the thing where it's like the Bella Twins, they knew how to do moves and they were really athletic. They just never were able to put together real matches. It would just be seeing moves done without any context or anything. It's oh wow, you could do a move that's really cool, but that's not a match.
Right. Nikki's best match is probably against Ronda Rousey, and Ronda was actually able to work. Yeah.
Right.
And I saw something similar today, or not today, but this week. And I think I've bagged on her before on the show, so I don't want to bag on her too much. But people were talking about, I think it was a Give Naomi a Chance hashtag or something like that. And it's
I didn't watch SmackDown, so I didn't know where it came. I knew it stemmed from something from SmackDown, but I didn't watch it.
It's just people wanting to see, saying that Naomi should be in a higher position, even though she's a multi-time champion. She's one of these people who's just incredibly athletic and pretty entertaining, has a cool gimmick and everything like that. But just from a work perspective, her work has always been not good. It just hasn't been something that flowed. It's never been seamless.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that where she is on the card, like if you look at the people that are there, what is she, number 10?
Yeah, right.
That seems about right.
And there's girls who are coming up who are going to be, who are better workers.
Just look at who. I mean, just in the past 2 weeks, so like Bianca Belair finally like really show up on Raw. Like her matches already in like 2 years of watching her are better than every IOE match I've ever seen. So it's just like,
yeah, Bianca's been great for a long time though. Be totally clear with all that. Like Bianca Belair.
But I mean, like showing up on Raw is what I mean.
Oh yeah. I gotcha. Showing up, taking names, kicking ass. Speaking of taking names and kicking ass,
someone's back at him. Mean Gene is back. That he's on an extended vacation, which I think he was going through contract issues, is my guess. But he's back. He's on entrance like DDP. He asked DDP about being courted by the NWO. DDP talks about his history in both Hall and Nash. That brings out the outsiders. Hall says that this is DDP's chance to jump on the Black and White Express. DDP says that he would be, number 8? That's what you want? Now you want me? Nash says that there are reasons. That's why. Nash says that DDP is here, and DDP is only here because he lives 2 doors down from Eazy-E. So, show a little disrespect. So no real conclusion, but they sort of just part ways after that.
Yeah, he's accusing him of politics. This is actually sort of just what we were complaining about last week with the NWO. Is we're like, why has this all got to be just like the Hogan show, like as it had been for the past few weeks? And I hope that this is them sort of recognizing that and fixing it, giving the outsiders more time, and we'll see the outsiders again on this show. But I like this because Hall and Nash are those cool dudes who like just came in, don't give a fuck, get paid, they're the attitude that kicked off the entire NWO and really made it take off in the way that it's become a cultural phenomenon. They talk throughout this show quite a few times about how like there's NFL stars who are wearing NWO merch in their locker room now and stuff like that. Because wrestling's funny that way. It's probably more than anything else, more than any other form of entertainment, obsessed with being mentioned in other entertainment. You know what I mean?
Always looking for that mainstream credentials.
Yeah, right. And even though like everyone loves wrestling, and they have for a long time, and like it's not shocking now when a major star in music or in sports references professional wrestling, but they just love putting that stuff on a pedestal. I'm happy that that Hall and Nash are getting a chance to like go out and show some personality, and we'll a bit more on that later.
Yep. Next up, it's Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Cyclope.
Yeah, Cyclope.
No, it's definitely not Cyclope. So I would say Cyclope. Yeah. This match goes 6 minutes. Ultimate Dragon sitting down there, Sonny Ono holding all of his multiple belts. I believe that's the J-Cup belts. It's basically like he condensed every cruiserweight belts at the time, including the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship, which had been in Japan for like 30 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's super.
And then when WWF, I believe, took it out of that like circle of belts around this time, because they were, anyway, so it's a story from all the time. No insurance for Cyclope. During the match, we see Dean and Psychosis come out to an entranceway to watch. Dean is a little bit in front of him, doesn't notice Psychosis behind him. Ray is just taking a goddamn beating throughout this, as only Ray can.
God, this whole match is bananas, the kind of spot that they're doing.
Yeah, just a few to wrap it up here. Ray springboards right into a tombstone, which is insane to think about. Or a tombstone. So I said tombstone Palidora. Ray, for some reason, then gets right back up off of that. Like, doesn't even sell at all. Because Cyclope is on the top rope. Ray gets up, hits like a really messy head scissors, and they both sort of just like tumble to the outside, which is gross. Yeah. Back inside, springboard Rana into a pin. Ray wins.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. He called out a Frankensteiner at one point on the apron before he was trying to springboard in. He ended up getting caught with a clothesline that was nasty. But I was like, oh, well, that could maybe help end our discussion about a Frankensteiner versus a Hurricane Rana. Maybe a Hurricane Rana is not even a fucking thing at this point. But also, god damn, that the sunset flip power bomb to the outside. Just hearing how Ray hit the mat on that one.
Gross.
It's like, dude, this match, I mean, Cyclope? Whatever. He's got a ridiculous outfit. As ridiculous as our pronunciation of his name is. Yes. But man, these guys beat the shit out of each other. That was a match right there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we talk about like, that's a match to go back and watch, to go back and see. You could watch this match, yeah. There's a couple this night, but
yes,
that was great.
Next up, Tony and Larry talk about WCW.com. Cool. But the NWO youngins come out. They have like their placards or whatever you want to call them. They march out, followed by Hall, Nash, and Six. They come up. Hall's talking about the Cable Ace Awards and showing up this Saturday. They're holding one of the awards. That used to be a big deal. They come up to the announcer's table and grab the mics. Nash's like title belt, the side plate has fallen off. So like, good job WCW sending Nash out there with a belt that's completely broken. Like, cool. Yeah. Anyway, they talk about, because on the new NWO t-shirts, it now says NWOWrestling.com. You can check that website out because 1996, here come websites. Nash says that having a Saturday show is fine, but in a few weeks, Monday Nitro will become NWO Nitro. So
sure will. Ooh,
see about that.
NWOWrestling.com is no longer a thing. Oh, it says your Mac might be at risk when I go to it.
I wouldn't click anything else. But that brings us to hour 2. Let's go. Scott Norton versus Lex Luger is our first match of this hour. This match goes 6 minutes and 15 seconds. We hear from Arn as this match begins. He says that in Baltimore he will show up and time's up for Lex, which is odd. So they do all these promos. So World War III is the next pay-per-view. They do all these promos talking about the matches. We saw Kevin Sullivan talk about it. We saw Arn talk about it here. They're not saying, I will see you at World War III. They all say, I'll see you in Baltimore, which is a very weird way to reference your pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Maybe they haven't sold out yet or something. It's like we talked about this on a way earlier episode about like kind of missing when people would say that kind of thing. Because, I mean, you know, pre-COVID era, obviously, it was much rarer to hear people say, like, reference specific cities that they were going to or whatever. Right. And as we talked about, it was because so much more back then was not just from your cable deals, it was from your house show.
That's true.
And so maybe that's got something to do with it. Huh?
There it is. Anyway, Sting is here. He's in the rafters watching on. Norton makes the big man mistake every big man makes, comes off the top rope, misses. That allows Luger to lock in the rack and win.
Actually, a pretty decent match here, too.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, we've talked about this before as well. Scott Flash Norton, he's, like, good. He's actually pretty good.
He is.
But, like, why doesn't he have it? You know, it's just so weird. He's, like, this big, powerful guy.
Bro, I mean, we've never really heard him talk, I guess. Maybe he just couldn't really talk.
Well, we have heard him talk a couple of times. Well, who could forget the potty-winning feud of Scott Flash Norton versus the Shark in 1995? Right,
of course.
So we have heard a little bit, but yeah, he just lacks this it thing that would ever make him a main eventer. But yeah, another good match. Nitro is bringing some solid bouts tonight.
Yes.
Next up, our number 2, and we're 3 good matches in now, and one quick jobber thing.
Eric, Bobby, and Tenay talk about World War III. Of course, that's the next pay-per-view. We get a replay of Sting attacking Jeff Jarrett earlier. Now, Mean Gene is in the ring. Lex, talk about Sting. Lex not having any answers about what's going on with him. Says that he's trying to carry WCW banner, but it's just too much weight. He made a mistake in not trusting Sting. They all made a mistake in not trusting Sting. He's sorry, and they need Sting back. Please, Sting, come back to WCW.
Good babyface promo. I like the story. Nothing I can say negative about this. Even we're having a nice spread out amount of Mean Gene tonight. He's not after every match. This is only our second time seeing him. I'm liking it.
Feels good. Next up, the Amazing French Canadians with Colonel Robert Parker versus Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry. This match goes 3 minutes. And if you're thinking, 5 minutes, sorry, 3 minutes. And if you're thinking, why is Colonel Robert Parker with the Amazing French Canadians? Well, they don't really answer that, but they do answer why he's not with Harlem Heat. On Saturday night, Harlem Heat finally fired Colonel Robert Parker. He's been screwing up all their matches, and he had to get the hell out of there.
You're done, Colonel Robert Parker.
Anyway, this match is completely ignored because we cut away to see the Nasty Boys trying to get into the building. Remember last week they declared, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, they declared that they're not NWO, but they're also not WCW. They are on their own. So they're not being allowed into the arena. Doug Dillinger is back there, the head of security, and he's explaining to them why not allowed. They literally cut away from the fucking match to see this happening. They finally go split screen, but WCW split screen, as we've talked about before, means you can't see either screen the way they put it up there. So now I'm just
small.
Yeah, so now I'm just up there watching nothing. Finally, the Nasty Boys are forced out, and they end up talking to somebody, but we can't tell who. The announcers are like, oh my God, it's him. But they don't say the name, and I couldn't tell who it was. So, I mean, I looked it up. I don't know if I want to spoil it, but whatever.
I mean, it was there, so you could say it.
It was the Booty Man himself.
Oh, I couldn't even tell that from like the distance that he was.
It just looked like a guy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, we come back to the ring, and Sherry's beating up Robert Parker, and the bell rings. I don't know. It was a complete waste of time. They didn't show any part of this match, so whatever.
We'll see who can save the show next. If only it was the greatest of all time coming up next.
Let's see. Next up, it's a Mexican heavyweight champion, Conan. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, his opponents. He's facing Chris Jericho. This match goes 5 minutes, 15 seconds. We start the match. They talk about Ted Irvin, Chris Jericho's father, of course. See a little hockey card of him. Last week, the lawyer for Nick Patrick was saying mean things about him, so we had to talk about his real legacy in the NHL. Nick Patrick is a ref, so you guess what's going to happen here. Couldn't drop kicks Jericho. Jericho was flying to Nick Patrick, and Nick Patrick calls for a DQ, DQing Jericho out of all people.
Drag. It was a good match up until that Nick Patrick crazy whatever's finished. Like, yeah, Jericho and Conan are going at it, and they're doing great. Like, the demo god here is putting on his working boots.
It's true. Next up, it's Miguel Perez versus Juventud Guerrera. This match goes 4 minutes. Miguel Perez later would go on to be part of Los Boricuas in the WWF. The only reason I remember that is because he's the hairiest man of all time. And I saw him and I was like, oh, that's the dude from Los Boricuas.
This is my first note is, holy shit, Perez is the hairiest guy I've seen in my entire life.
Like, you think, Albert is hairy. It's like, nope, not even close.
Yeah, no, Albert had a hairy back. He didn't have hairy shoulders and, arms and triceps. Yeah, he's got like a full. Heenan has a couple of funny lines throughout it about the guy wearing the sweater or whatever. Like, it looks like a sweater under his tights.
Gross. Anyway, Juvi is just taking brutal bumps. They're on the outside with Miguel on the guardrail. Juvi tries to go for a Hurricanrana. Instead, Miguel just counters and power bombs him into the mat, which is gross.
Yeah,
Miguel goes into the ring. Yeah, Miguel goes into a ring, and I didn't know what to call this move, so I looked it up. He hits a space flying tiger drop. He handspring, jumps over, elbow into his face. That's gross. Juvi, though, of course, shakes off all of the shit. Goes for a 450 splash, misses, and Miguel is able to roll him up for the win.
Yeah, this match was nuts. It was I was like, oh, here we go, another Juvi match. Like, I'm ready for it. Oh, what do you know? He's not getting a title opportunity this week. That's weird. Right. And and then out of nowhere, these guys put on a total banger where they murder each other throughout. This is another match that, I say, go back and watch it. So far, I'm saying go back and watch this Nitro. But
yes. We'll see. Next up, Ted and Vincent are in the stands. He says that he knows Sting is here. They think what he did to Jarrett. They thank him for what he did for Jarrett and offer him again a spot in NWO. They're like, you're already wearing black and white, brother. So here's a shirt. Just put it on. We're good. Then it's a Faces of Fear, Jimmy Hart versus the American Males. This match goes 3 minutes and 30 seconds. The American Males just get annihilated. Kick of Fear ends it. After match, Jimmy Hart starts yelling. He doesn't understand what Nasty Boys are, and to be part of WCW, get a title match. and not the faces of fear who are the true number one contenders. So he says he wants a triangle match in World War III.
Which, yeah, he's got a totally fair point for that. You might as well.
Eric agrees. Eric's like, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Jimmy Hart, but I got to tell you, yeah.
Yeah, I also thought it was funny that just the term triangle match, you got to think, there's a whole generation of wrestling fans who have never heard that term before, because I don't know when the term triple threat first came around. I mean, even in ECW, they were calling it a three-way dance. But
yes,
like, the concept.
I believe a three-way dance is an elimination match. And I forget, or a triangle is one of those things is elimination match, where triple threat means that it's one pinfall to a finish.
Okay, all right.
So I actually think there is a distinct thing between those matches.
Hold on. Here is a Reddit thread. Triple threat is first pinfall or submission.
Yes.
Three-way dance is elimination. Oh, okay.
Yes,
all right.
exactly.
So yeah,
triangle, I don't know.
You don't see three-way dances a lot anymore then.
No, because two guys got the whole point of having a triple threat is to protect people. So if you're going to get two pinfalls and then you're fucking everyone, so they do triple threats just to have someone protected in the match. So it sort of defeats the purpose of having two guys take losses. Same reason why Vince hates Survivor Series matches. That's why he hates them. He has to see all those fucking dudes take pinfalls. Yeah,
that's fair. That's like the last one where like Walter gets pinned in 2 minutes. Like, oh, right. Great.
Exactly. But let's talk about this mysterious tape that was dropped up earlier. They've been dropping little hints that they've been taking a look at it, but now we are going to be able to take a look at it live with Eric, Tanae, Bobby, and of course the whole audience. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
It is a legit music video that Hot Rod produced in 1992.
Wow.
And it is a music video from 1992 is like not even fair. Like this looks like it was made in 1987. It's just like what Hot Rod thought was cool, I guess. For one, he's shredded. He's shredded as fuck in his video.
Yeah, he's super shredded, and he looks more than 4 years younger in it. So I suspect that it was not shot in 92. I suspect it might have been cut and released in Europe in 92 or something like that. But like that is an.
It did say Sony Entertainment 1992.
Yeah, I know. That's how we know. But I'm saying at the end, like maybe that's a distribution thing or something like that. Because that
I just think he was in like pure Hollywood Hot Rod phase and was just looking fucking good.
He was looking good, but even his face looked way more than 4 years younger. It was
makeup, Adam.
Weird. This was weird.
Ask Alexa if that could be makeup.
Okay, I'll talk to my wife. And
but yes, the music video starts off like him part singing, him part training, and he's apparently training for a match with Hulk Hogan at the Hollywood Bowl. But he also has a lover, and he's like on the beach prancing around with this lover and playing in the ocean. And I'm a man for you.
Ooh, boy, yeah. It was very bizarre. This is one of the.
I thought it was pretty catchy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I changed my ringtone to it right after I saw it. I was like, "This is what I want coming up from now on."
I guess it's not so catchy. I can't remember what the song is, but I'll play it at the end of this podcast, and you guys can listen to a little bit of it.
Yeah, they'll rock out to the whole thing. I wonder if it's on Spotify. I'm gonna look it up.
My guess is it's on YouTube more than Spotify, but anyway, Eric brings up they come back to them, and Eric brings up the image of Piper looking at the sign of Piper and Hogan in the music video. He's like, Piper's wanted to wrestle him for years. This proves it. This is it. This means everything. So it's a fun way to get to this match. And I kind of like that they played the whole thing. I enjoyed it. It was like a very silly moment in wrestling I enjoyed.
Very silly.
Next up, though, it is NWO promo time. Main event. Hulk Hogan is out there. Vincent, Giant, and Liz, who's in a sexy Santa outfit. Nick Patrick is there, too. Okay. Hogan gets his spotlight. Talks about the movie success with Santa of Muscles. That's why Liz is in her outfit, I guess. Whatever. He says a bunch of things talking about facing Hot Rod. Ted gets on the mic and goes, "Yeah, entertain them, Hogan." And then he rips off his shirt and poses. Deja vu all over again, Adam.
Yeah, right. But I think this might be their first like official challenge to Piper. Because like all the other stuff was like talking shit
Yeah,
about Piper. It wasn't
sure.
like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah,
It's
it
still
was
the same exact promo and the same exact ending to Nitro 3 weeks in a row
right. Yeah,
of
yeah,
Hogan ripping off a shirt, posing,
with the
and
spotlight and
the
yeah,
credits coming up.
right. Well, at least though, like now we know they actually want the match. I mean, of course we know they want the match. They've been telling this story or whatever. But like canonically in that world, this is our first time of like, oh yeah, they're doing the match. Or
Oh, Hot Rod has to sign it to WCW.
yeah, at least Hot Rod has to say yes, but Hogan has put out there that he wants the match.
Yeah. But that's Nitro.
Woo! What a show! What a show! A lot of good matches.
It's this thing where, yes, matches overall are much better than Raw. It's just that the end of Raw left me excited for Survivor Series, and the end of Nitro left me pissed off that I had to watch another dumb Hogan promo that meant that nothing happens.
Right, pretty much the only thing in this show that was awful was them not sticking the landing on that. I mean, Face of Fear versus American Males is not amazing, but it's it's a mauling, and it is moving that story forward a little bit because Bagwell is kind of like leaving Riggs out on his own, and they're kind of talking about
They're
like,
still feuding.
yeah, about like these two
having
breaks
issues
and stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. So like really, it's just the end of Nitro that I'm like, oh, that wasn't very good. But the rest of the show, I think overall, I mean, let's get right to it. Let's get to the thesis of our show, Jer. What do you think was the winner on the week of November 11th?
I think that I don't know. I want to lean towards Raw only because I think that like we're going into a Survivor Series where Austin is heating up. He's hot.
Right.
He's getting his debut. We know what's going to happen there.
Right.
Sold me for Shawn versus Sid. While that show sort of overall isn't great, I think the stories that they were telling were really great and they nailed all of it.
Okay.
Where Nitro had these like good matches. Are they the greatest matches of all time? No. Would we see matches better from all of these people in other matches? Yeah.
Let me make a counter.
I don't fucking know.
I'm going to counter you on this one because we said specifically as we went through these, and we're trying to decide who had the better show, not who has the better stories right now, not who has the better overall company right now or whatever. Trying to decide who had the better show. And we specifically said there's not really anything to go back on and watch from Raw. Through Nitro, we could say at least 3, if not 4 matches that were really good that we'd say go back and watch.
I mean, what would be the number one thing of the night between both shows for you?
Number one thing of the night between both shows is probably it's either I'm leaning towards Ray versus Cyclope. Or Cyclope. There you go.
Cyclope.
Jeff Jarrett versus Chris Benoit was also really good and cool though because I think this is our first time seeing a Scorpion death drop from Black and White Sting. Also, who went in there. You know, this is our first time seeing, because we've seen Sting hanging around in the rafters, but I don't think we've seen Black and White Sting put his hands on somebody like that yet. So, you know, those are two big, as the Stone Cold character is taking off, we're also, the Crow Sting is taking off. And NWO has significantly stepped up, or was significantly stepped up this week in that it wasn't just the Hogan show. We got a big chunk of the Outsiders. We got to hear Ted DiBiase try and pitch why Sting should join the NWO. We get to see what's honestly one of my favorite NWO stories, DDP versus the NWO starting to take place because DDP is a heel right now.
Yes.
And we're going to start moving towards the face turn for DDP, which is fucking awesome. So I think between the two, as I agree with you that the stories going into Survivor Series are very exciting, but as a show, I would say, you know, go back, watch Survivor Series 1996, of course. But on November 11th, 1996, you should watch Nitro.
Okay. I agree. You didn't even bring up my favorite thing of the whole night.
Roddy Piper's "I'm Your Man" video.
Absolutely.
There you go.
But okay, yep. So there you go. Nitro's the winner. You guys let us know who you think the winner is, and there's so many ways to do that, Adam. Easiest way is to tweet us at Monday Night Pod. That's a cool way to do it. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could comment below, tell us who you think should have won. While you're there, hit the like button, subscribe. You could send this video to friends too. That's an option. If you're listening to us on podcasts, that's cool. We're available, Adam, this week officially on 2 new podcasting platforms, Amazon and something else I forget, but we're available there too. But if you listen to us wherever you listen to this, make sure you're finally subscribed. I don't know what the button is on Amazon, but I'm sure there is some button there. If you listen to this specifically on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a 5-star review. That would be amazing. While you're there, tell us who should have won, or tell us whatever you want to tell us, I guess. Facebook Monday Night Pod. If you have any other thoughts at all, our emails are open. It is info@mondaynightpod.com. I check it. I'm there. I'll write you back. Anything? Yeah, I think I got in all the plugs. Anything else?
I think you got all the plugs. Other than plugging the hometown crowd, I think you got all the plugs. But it's another good week. Let's keep watching some fun wrestling. Whatever intern they have cutting the cinematic matches at WWE now because they furloughed their editor staff. Intern, stop with the jump cuts. Calm the fuck down.
That's a director call, Adam. That is a Kevin Dunn issue for many years.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I'm just pleading. Just let it breathe. Let it breathe. Or
God damn it, they have ADD.
That's right. They stupid fans. Well, whatever. If I have to keep watching disgusting editing like that, I'll just stay on TNT.
I'll let you end the show like that. All right. Bye.